Welcome to Geektionary. My name's Corey Hales, and this is the geekiest podcast you'll probably ever hear, where I will try to teach you, along with my friends, about the nerdier things in life. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Alright, fair enough. That might at least be deleted that. So yes, This is letter R, this is reading. It's kind of a vague topic, so it's less concrete than, say, Q from James Bond or anything like that. So this episode might probably be a little bit different. There'll be a lot of meandering, but this time it won't actually be, bad. So, we'll stay on topic by not being on topic, I guess. I just basically said my other shows are bad, and that's a lie. But anyways, let's get down to it. I have been collecting comics for 16 years. And that is, some people would say that that's barely reading, but it's a story that continues on.
I don't know. I think reading in comics actually has, while it may be less in the form of words, it definitely has a more need for a strong story arc, because your words are going to have to rely heavily with the images that are on the page.
Yeah.
I definitely, especially when you look at Alan Moore's stuff.
You
really see he does go into a lot of these really cool dialects. Like, some of the words aren't even really words. He's going for the accents and just the phonetic meanings of the words.
And I've read all of his League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, the 1, the 2, and then the Century, all 3 of those books. And there are some characters I can't understand. I get the gist of it, but I just, only because of the responses that other people have.
I'm proud to say I just bought that series, so I'm
the
waiting
Century
to
one?
go. Just bought Century and number 2.
Okay.
Waiting for the perfect time to read them.
Yeah, number 2 has a scene in it that really disturbed me. And, the Century's okay. I really like how it ends. It starts in 1910, then 1969, and then 1999, I believe. Those are the 3 books. One thing about Alan Moore, though, is, like you say, he writes stories that originally people thought that they couldn't be translated into movies because, specifically The Watchmen.
Right.
But, and they had to make some changes, obviously, for the movie, but I still think that the movie holds up. It's not the exact same story, but it's close enough, and it's a good story. V for Vendetta, less so. I think it works fine as a movie or a comic.
Yeah. I preferred V for Vendetta in its movie form and its comic form over The Watchmen in its movie form. Seeing the director's cut, it was a bit better, but
it's fucking long.
It's long, but I think it loses a lot of what made The Watchmen special in the comic book by going over to a cinematic theme.
Yeah. Do you mean just the background characters and the conversations they have, the ones that aren't necessarily, quote unquote, important to the story?
Definitely. I mean, they weren't, those stories, like the background stories, weren't important to the story per se, but they really gave the characters their depth. Without those stories, they became real two-dimensional characters.
Yeah, it gave the world texture.
It really did.
Depth is a very good way to describe it. What are you reading right now?
Reading right now?
Yeah.
Right now I'm on a, how do I say this without sounding, I'm reading the Hunger Games series right now.
That's fine.
I'm really shocked. I didn't think I'd enjoy the series, and in fact, as a series in general, I was really against reading it. I finally broke down and started reading it. Very well written book series.
It's bizarre because, I know when I think of teen novels, because that's technically a teen novel.
It is a teen novel.
I don't often think of them as being particularly well written.
And, there are pieces, her writing style is simplified for teens, but as it goes, I mean, you say were to compare it to something like the Twilight series, which
is poorly written.
It's poorly written. It's just, I'm sorry, it's trash.
It
It really is true. Like
it's
there
like
could
the
have been a
Harlequin
good.
romance novels, like the ones with Fabio on the cover that you
Oh
see
yeah,
at supermarkets. Well, used to see at
yeah.
supermarkets
Now
all
you
the
see
time.
50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah,
Another terribly, terribly written novel.
fucking fan fiction of Twilight.
Is it fan fiction of Twilight?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
it's the characters. While they aren't using the same names, probably because then they'd be sued by Stephanie Meyer.
yeah.
But yeah, like no, that's not it.
The one who,
The
yeah,
one who wrote it,
the
that
one
Mormon
who writes
chick.
terrible, terrible,
Yeah, and
with even more terrible, terrible movies. But I digress.
yeah, So, other than, are you like how far into it are you?
I'm halfway through the second book at the moment.
Okay.
Sadly, to a busy lifestyle, I don't get to read as much as I used to.
Yeah.
Although I have to admit, things like the Kindle and the Kobo, these new e-readers, are making reading a little easier for me, since I don't have to carry around
whole novel,
a whole
something
novel
that might weigh upwards of ounces. You just can't be bothered to. I have a weird thing with the ebook shit. Like I like the idea of like if you have a bunch of books and you want to bring many of them somewhere, but obviously don't have the room, then that's handy. I will always prefer an actual book, you know?
And I have more love for paper. If I can get a book in paper format to read, I will. I'm proud to say I just bought Ray Bradbury's Halloween Tree to reminisce some of my childhood.
I never read that. I don't know what's it about.
Did you see the cartoon growing up as a kid? The Halloween Tree?
No.
You never saw the Halloween Tree? Wow.
No. The only Halloween cartoon I ever saw as a kid was The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
That was a good cartoon.
It was.
Yeah. But the Halloween Tree is basically the amalgamation of why Halloween is an all-inclusive holiday. It's these kids trying to save their friend who's basically dying of an asthma attack, and his soul is running throughout the annals of time.
Okay.
And I won't ruin the story for anyone who wants to go back and read, but they have to go on this magical voyage
through time and space
with a guy who's basically death incarnate. Yeah.
Why is death helping these kids save a kid with an asthma attack? Is it explained in the book?
It is explained in the book.
Okay, so that's a.
He may or may not be helping him.
Okay.
It's really dark. Like Ray Bradbury is, most people know as Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah. Other science fiction-y things. I've never read Fahrenheit 451. I've always wanted to.
It's a good book. Yeah. Really good book.
That's cool.
But he did a lot of children's stories as well.
Yeah.
I say children, young adult.
Yeah. But that's the set, not teen books, young adult books, which they're kids. I have a problem with reading. I will often start many books all at once, and so right now I'm reading. Do you know who Michael Showalter is?
I do.
Yeah, it's Mr. Funny Pants, a memoir of false starts. It's supposed to be an autobiography, but so much of it is just meandering and him wasting time deliberately. It's pretty great. Then I'm also reading Stiff: The Curious Life of Human Cadavers by Mary Roach. Really, it's bizarrely funny. Mary Roach was or is a reporter for some newspaper, and she started writing this book, and it's about different things that cadavers are used for, different things that they've been used for in the past, stuff like that. There was like the first chapter is plastic surgeons like testing their skills on cadavers, and it talks about different things like how they will cover up the face and the hands because people will look at hands and then kind of think, oh, this person was alive, mainly because of fingernails. Which is bizarre. That all talks about like body farms. It talks about way back when. Do you know the term "Saved by the Bell"?
I've heard of it in terms of the TV show.
Yeah, it talks about where that word actually comes from. Way back when doctors started discovering those death-like symptoms, like not a coma per se, but where the thing is that they exhibit no signs of life, but they are still alive, like that brown snake toxin thing that people always wake up in morgues apparently from.
Oh.
If movies and TV has taught me anything, it's that lots of living people go to the morgue. But what they would do is they have these big storehouses filled with corpses, and attached to each one would be a string which led to a bell in an office. So if they woke up from their death-like stupor, they would ring the bell and they'd be saved by the bell.
I think that would have made the sitcom a hell of a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of teenage drama and a corpse room, which would be creepy as fuck. I'm also reading An Idiot Abroad. You know, Carl Pilkington.
Oh, good old Carl Pilkington.
Thing is, like, you watch the show An Idiot Abroad, and he seems like an absolute fucking moron. Read the book, and he actually has a lot of good reasons for these important decisions that he makes and ideas that he has. It's not as funny as I thought it would be. It's just informative.
I've seen him on the Ricky Gervais. Well, I'm getting a bit tied there. On the Ricky Gervais show. Did I even say his name right?
Ricky Gervais.
Yeah. And the guy, like, he seems to have something there. It's just like that spark of light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. Which he never quite gets to.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you watch the show, Carl, he is a dumbass, but
he's a lovable dumbass.
He's not, no, he is vindictive. He's a hateful man as well, which is kind of funny. He's also bizarre, weirdly racist, but not in a hateful way, just an ignorant way. Like, have you heard what he says about Chinese people?
I have heard what he says about
they go from young to just immediately old, so you can't tell how old any of them are.
Oh, wow. He's, you know, he reminds me of a cat.
Okay.
Like, you know, cats are these creatures. I mean, they're not immediately hateful, vindictive, or stupid.
Yeah.
But that's how they seem to appear. Like, he reminds me of the human form of a cat.
Okay. Like, he's got his own thing going.
He's got his own thing going.
Yeah. Did you see any of the An Idiot Abroad show?
I have seen the Idiot Abroad show.
Have you seen the second season? Where he does they give him a list, 100 things to do before you die. It was accumulated over a bunch of lists, and these were the most common ones. And he had to pick, I think, 6 or 10 or something like that. It's pretty great. Like, one of them was a drive down Route 66, which is pretty cool. There was what else was there? All sorts of things. It's really good, and he hated every one. Bungee jumping was one, and he wouldn't do it, and he went to the people that invented bungee jumping, like down in like these indigenous people in, I think, either New Zealand or Africa. They would build these towers, which are like just out of sticks and twine essentially, and then jump off with a vine attached to their feet, and like with the ground here, they just swing down. It's like their hair brushes the dirt, and then they just flop on the ground. And Carl did it from maybe 3 feet, from a 3-foot like step thing, and was super proud of himself. It was pretty great. It's just like thump, and then done.
Although, you know, I mean, given the structure at 3 feet, I think I'd be impressed with myself.
Yeah, I would be like, no, I'm not doing it. They kept on trying over 3 countries. Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant kept on trying to set him up to do more bungee jumping. And they said, like, if you bungee jump in this one place, we will donate this much money to help these poor people build a school and a hospital. It wouldn't be enough for both of them, but it would be a huge step in both directions. And so, like, trying to guilt him into doing it, he went up top, and then he's just like, no, can't do it. Gets down and he phones Ricky and then lies to him, saying that he did. And then the guy that was like his tour guide kept on like badgering him for like, when am I going to get the check? When can I see the check? Where's the money? I want the money now. It was pretty great. Game of Thrones, that's a big thing right now. Have you read any of those?
I have. What I'm doing right now is I'm watching the series first, then going back and reading the book. So it's kind of like seeing the movie, then seeing the director's cut.
Okay, that's a. Most people, when they hear a movie's coming out, they will read the book first.
Yeah. See, and this is one of the big issues I've had. Usually, when I read the book first, I enjoy the book more than I do the movie.
Yeah.
So when I'm paying out money to see said movie or said TV show, I want to enjoy said movie or said TV show.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, you get the enjoyment now, and then read the book and be like, oh no, I've been doubly entertained.
It's double the pleasure, double the fun.
I don't know why that phrase has really bothered me. I was reading the series before the TV series came out. A friend of mine got me onto them, and I've been reading the fourth Game of Thrones book for almost 2 years now. Because it's not that it's super long; it is very long. But the first three books they establish characters, and you get to know these characters. It's the same characters more or less throughout the entire three books. Fourth one changes a bunch of the characters, like Tyrion.
Right.
Yeah, Tyrion is no longer one of the POV characters. He's disappeared.
He's just gone.
Yeah, he's alive. He's still alive, and he's out there, but no one knows where he is. And yeah, so far as I've gotten into it, hasn't gone to a POV of his, but it's I don't know. It's not that it's bad. It is still very good. It's just at the same time, it's just frustrating, you know?
And it's interesting to see though at the same time because I think J.R.R. Martin has really established
George R.R. Martin.
Did I say
You're thinking J.R. Tolkien.
Wow.
Same guy.
You can tell he's just like the reincarnation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. George R.R. Martin. I'm very sorry about that.
Yeah.
He's established his own world there.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And and what I really like to see is he's established his own writing style.
Yeah, he has a good writing style. It feels very real.
You get caught up in the world. You can feel the world, which is nice.
Yeah, it's the fourth book is supposed to be like one of the least enjoyed, just in general. So, yeah. Have you ever had a book that left like a lasting impression, like something that was not necessarily like I feel like I'm a better person for having read this, but more like that book scared the fuck out of me, or like this book is so entertaining, blah blah blah, you know?
For me, it has to be The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series.
Very awesome series.
It's so simplistic, but just some of the points they make in it, like I've had to remind myself that I'm not a person who can get tattoos, so not to have some of those quotes tattooed on me.
Why are you a person that can't get tattoos?
I've got weird skin things, and tattoos may not be the most.
Like actual health issues?
There's actual health issues.
I thought like when you said weird skin things, that for some reason I thought you were talking about like phobias and stuff.
Oh no.
Like if I see too much skin on someone, I freak out. Okay.
I do very well in Middle Eastern countries with that phobia, though.
Yeah. You haven't sullied your body.
I haven't sullied my body. Yeah. No, it's.
You do well with the Mormons as well, actually.
Magic wonder hands. Gotta love those magic wonder hands. But no, I've got actual skin issues where it could
actually cause severe health problems.
Well, not so much severe.
Skin graft problems, like, maybe?
Severe skin deformities, which could look pretty
like just
horrid.
I'm not going to ask any more questions.
Anyone wants to find out, it's just type in issues with skin and tattoos, and you'll get many a picture in Google.
I've actually had a book that genuinely scared me and stuck with me for far after it when I was done, which was Stephen King's It. Because you've read that book, right?
I've read that book.
And you've seen the terrible movie?
And I've seen the terrible movie. Tim Curry is a clown.
Tim Curry should never be a clown. Like, it's perfect casting, but
I think he is the main reason why I have a severe hatred of clowns.
It's not a fear, it's a hatred?
It's not a fear, it's a hatred. Like, I see a clown, it's not like, oh god, there's a clown, run away.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I hate them. They, like, I don't know you.
Fury is what you don't
I don't
get.
know if you can call clowns a race, but if they
you can't call them a race. It's a profession, not a people. Anyway.
But if they were a race, I'd be racist towards clowns.
Okay.
I accept this.
You're a professionalist.
I'm a professionalist.
That sounds so complimentary. But yeah, I know several people who, when they see clowns, there's a very good chance they will start to cry. Because it's a genuine, like, it is a phobia for them. I'm not going to name names because they might be upset with me, but yeah, and the thing is, I don't have that much of a phobia for them. I just find them extremely creepy, but I can totally understand why someone would want to cry when seeing a clown.
I was working at Screamfest over the Halloween period.
Oh yeah?
For like we were doing some live shows at the radio station.
Okay.
But of course, this means
Radio station?
For X 92.9.
Oh, really? Good job.
But of course, this means you have to be around clowns, not just any clowns, evil clowns.
Yeah, evil clowns.
And at the same time, you have to be happy and jolly and be like, yay!
Yeah.
While you have evil clowns around you.
Yeah, for people not in Calgary, which is probably the majority, listen to this. Screamfest is a huge haunted house thing that they build, and it's apparently quite terrifying. I've never been, but yeah. When we mentioned Twilight earlier, and while they aren't good books and the movies are god awful as well, I have a conflicting feeling about Twilight. The same reason why I first really hated Harry Potter. Harry Potter, like for me, way back when it came out, I was just annoyed that it was popular because I was a young, hateful teenager, and like 14, 16, something like that. And I also didn't like the fact that J.K. Rowling was taking things from other mythologies, even though that's what every writer ever pretty much does. But anyway, with my conflict with Twilight is that even though it is fucking terrible, it's at least it's getting kids to read. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is my issue with Twilight.
Mm-hmm.
I love the vampire mythology. I think it's one of the most interesting things.
Yeah.
I read the articles about Mary Brown, the Massachusetts vampire scares back in the early 1800s.
Yeah.
Was it 18? Yes.
Okay.
Mid 1800s.
Yeah.
Pilgrim time, we'll say.
Yeah.
Anyways, I read things like Bram Stoker's Dracula, these amazing books that go into such detail, and even going into the Charlene Harris series, which is basically...
You've read Charlene Harris?
I've read Charlene Harris's Stackhouse series. It is basically...
Okay.
Which, for anyone listening, if they don't know,
True
is
Blood.
True Blood.
Yeah.
It's an interesting book series. It's another series that borders on the idea of a Harlequin romance series, but...
With the supernatural aspect. Like that old... Did you ever see that, anything of that old soap opera called Passions? Where there was a witch with a dwarf.
I heard about that.
Weird supernatural stuff. It was kind of like a modern day Dark Shadows, except really bad. Anyways, continue with what you're saying.
And despite being a romance series,
Yeah.
the whole idea behind this book series is it's focusing on what a vampire is, the conflicted raw sexual power. Twilight kills that.
Yeah.
And I have such an issue. Like, I can understand trying to bring vampires into this nice realm of, say,
Mormon.
sparkly nature, but dear God, don't do vampires. Make
Call them
some
something
sort
else.
of new creature.
Yeah. Like, Twipires is something people call them.
Like,
I'm not as big a fan of vampires. Like, I respect them as a monster, particularly Dracula.
Yes.
Because one of the universal monsters. But, the issue I have with vampires is they're kind of like the Superman of monsters. Superman has every power. You know, like, if he needs something, he'll also, like, oh, well, luckily I have this power, which I've never demonstrated in the past, you know, but I haven't. And vampires, they have so much power, but they have a lot of weaknesses as well. At least that's fair and balanced, but
I mean, it wasn't until the time of What's Her Face with her little Twilight series that we started to see these superpowered vampires where their weaknesses are basically disappearing.
They have no weaknesses.
Like,
not even sunlight. It makes them fucking twinkle. Yeah, it's.
I would love to twinkle in sunlight.
It's essential, and the thing is,
I think that's why I hate them.
One thing that really bothers me too is the idea that when you become a vampire, you will apparently become hyper attractive. Except, like in other vampire mythology, yes, vampires are often attractive, but if you're an ugly guy that turns into a vampire, you're still an ugly vampire.
Yeah.
You might have that
mystique,
the mystique, and that weird sexual aroma shit that all vampires have, but it's
No, And it was during the time of Bram Stoker's Dracula.
That's an amazing movie. Never read the book, but the movie.
Book is amazing. It's done in the form of journals from the different characters. So you've got Helsing's journal, you got Mina's journals, you've got all of these.
Mm-hmm.
There's about a 2 to 3 page segment at the beginning of the book where, and his name is escaping me right now.
Dracula?
No.
Harkness?
Is it?
Is he the guy that's the real estate dude? Keanu Reeves in the movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The main protagonist.
Yeah.
He spends 2 pages talking about chicken Kiev.
Okay.
And the proper peppers and all of that. And I just find this amazing, just the depth that Stoker's going into within his book.
I kind of, part of me does not like that at all, but at the same time, it's like, it makes it seem like these are actual journals. This is something this guy likes and he wants to write about it, It'd be, in the modern day version would be a blog. Yeah. Talking about chicken Kiev. Yeah.
And this mystical beast that, and that was the thing getting back with Dracula.
Yeah.
He had a certain set of powers. After that, he was just regular evil monster. There was no real super strength attached to him.
He was strong.
He was stronger than average, but it wasn't kind of
not like throwing cars.
Throw cars around.
Yeah, it's more just like if a normal human, even a very strong human, tried to fight him, they would likely lose.
Yeah,
he's stronger than peak human physical condition, I'd say.
Right, but then the other aspect is the intellectual property of not intellectual property, but the intellect of Dracula. He's not this absolute God man brain. I know all, I see all. And this is one of his downfalls as a character within Dracula is you have characters like Helsing who are these very intelligent people. They may not have the strength, but they start formulating their plan of how they're going to stop Dracula through human intellect.
Mm-hmm.
I think it goes back to the idea of reading, especially nowadays, is we see the Jersey Shore crowd
who might have seen a book once.
Not
read a book, seen a book. Yeah, I wonder what that is. Oh, it's filled with paper. F this.
What are these hieroglyphics on the page?
Yeah, they don't know the word hieroglyphics. Scribbles. There we go.
But it has almost become that analogy. I mean, in modern society, people who read, people who are willing to actually improve themselves intellectually, have become the Helsings of the world. While we've now seen this absolute outbreak of, we'll call them vampires.
The pretty people that don't know shit.
Who don't know shit.
Yeah. Speaking of Dracula, after this, let's continue on because this is a lot on. This was a good chunk. It's just trying to keep it not entirely on vampires. There is a book series. I think it's called Anno Dracula. It's as if vampires are and have been a regular part of society for a long time. Like Queen Victoria is still the queen in modern day because she's a vampire. I think Dracula is a character. It has other. It's one of those books that has in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, they have characters from novels which are real, not just novels but TV, movies, all sorts of things, right?
Right.
Anno Dracula is also similar, but the characters are. It's not every character that has ever been written about exists, like in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but proper characters too. In regards to the comic books, and these guys are both very, very well-respected Canadian authors, which, usually I kind of shit on Canada when it comes to our cultural impact because fucking the best thing we've done in a long time is fucking cornered gas.
That just makes me sad.
And the
We've
thing
improved on music.
Thing is, you watch TV, maybe not a lot right now, but you can tell by looking at a Canadian television program and American television program which was made in which country.
Oh yeah.
It's
production values.
It's not just that; it's even things as slight as the camera, just what the actual show looks like because of the camera that's used. And it's not that Canadian shows look bad; they just look different. And it's such a small change. And some people, I've mentioned this to a number of people, and they don't notice. But yeah, if people that watch TV can tell, oh, this is a Canadian show, isn't it?
And I find it weird because, and I've looked into this a bit.
Yeah.
I find American shows use a much shallower depth of field in their camera. So whenever they're zoomed in on the actor, all you're seeing is the actor's head and then blur.
Yeah, yeah.
With the Canadian show, they've got a really crisp depth of field. Like
you see the person, and you can see that behind them is a box of Tide, like it's specifically Tide. Say, like you know what it is, not just from colors. It says Tide. But yeah, but yeah, with the Canadian things, there's these two Canadian writers. They've mainly done comics. I think they've only done comics, but the first one is Jeff Lemire. He's written for DC, like he's done Animal Man, the New 52's Animal Man. He's done, I think, Justice League International, like, standard superhero comic stuff. But he's also doing this one series called Sweet Tooth, where there's been a huge plague, and he's also the artist too. There's been a huge plague, and the majority of people are dead, but there's been these kids that have been born. They're called hybrids because it'll be mostly human, but they'll have animalistic features. The main character, nicknamed Sweet Tooth, has like deer antlers on his head, and it's a very, very good series. It's very strange and it's very dark and very violent occasionally, but it's really great. But he's also written two books, one called The Underwater Welder, which is about a guy that has some conflict with he's an underwater welder, and he seems obsessed with doing his job, and more so and drawing away from his pregnant wife and all this stuff, and eventually has a moment at the bottom of the water when he's welding that may or may not actually happen. It's kind of Twilight Zone-y. Really good. But the book that is in particular I really recommend is called Essex County. It's a thick comic about how big would you say this is? I can't really translate this through audio.
I'd say it's
as wide as a banana.
Yes, as wide as a banana.
Yeah, that's a weird thing, but it's actually been called one
circumference.
Thank you. It's called one of the greatest Canadian novels of the past decade. And it is amazing. It's each chapter, or it's one book with 3 books in it. Let's call it that. Each book is about a different character and their life, and throughout the book you see how it's all intertwined, and how they've all, even from settler days in Canada, everything is still affecting things today, and it is heart-wrenching, and it's depressing, and it's funny, and it's uplifting. It's just this real weird emotional journey of this phony county in Ontario, and I really cannot recommend it enough. I'd put it on par with like some of the other great graphic novels like Watchmen or Black Hole or other ones. But yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And another Canadian, I think he's Canadian or he's French Canadian, let's say, a guy named Guy Delisle. He does travelogues, except the thing is he's not a travelogue writer; he's an animator. And so it's very, very much just like when he's been to places like Jerusalem, Pyongyang, Burma, and Sichuan, places like that, because his wife is a part of a Doctors Without Borders type organization. So he travels along with her, and he writes. Usually we'll get a job at an animating studio in the country and help people out in that respect. But he also talks a lot about what it's like from a Westerner's perspective in this place.
Right.
Like the one that he did in Korea, I can't remember. That's Pyongyang, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's North Korea. He went out there and he was talking about how he sees like these people that walk backwards because for some reason, I can't remember the reason. He talks about going to the museum filled with what is described as treasures from other countries that have been given to North Korea because they respect and love the wonderful leader so much. And he talks about how at night there are no street lights on other than lights that are on monuments towards his benevolence and other things like it's Jerusalem was the most recent one, and that one's absolutely amazing and bothersome. Like after reading that, it actually changed how I think about the whole Israel situation. It's not so. It's
not
never
black
been
and
cut
white.
and dry. It's never been black and white. No, and but the thing is one thing he talks about is how there are so many different Christian groups, and there's so many different Jewish groups, different sects of the same religion essentially, but none of them like each other. Like this group of Jews don't talk to this group of Jews, don't talk to this group of Jews, and the same thing with the Christians.
Right.
All the Christians hate all the Jews and vice versa as well because they all think it's their holy land. And then it talks about also the Islamic as well, and it's a really good read.
Wow.
Yeah, that was talking for a long time.
No, hey, this is like I know some of Guy Delisle's work, like
good.
As a cartoonist and as an animator.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the stuff he's done for the Canada Film Board, which I encourage people. You can access it free online.
Yeah, there was one of the first apps I got when I had an Android phone was the Canadian NFB app, which lets you access all of the National Film Board's things for free.
And they've got one for for Apple now as well.
Does it cost anything?
It's completely free.
Very cool. Very cool.
So,
that's good.
Yeah, and it's always if you're trying to get good ideas of how to do stuff.
Yeah.
I encourage people to check this out because the Canada Film Board is probably the best example of how a federally funded organization should be run.
Mm-hmm.
How they just help, they don't really just say, hey, go out. Like they don't say, we want you to create this under these parameters. They say, you want to do this, we're going to let you do this.
If we think the idea has legs, we'll let you run with it. Yeah. Like the first things I watched was, of course, the Black Fly cartoon, and the one with the logger going down.
Log Driver's Wallets.
Yes.
Love the Log Driver's Wallets.
Those were both awesome cartoons.
Do you remember The Cat Came Back?
Yeah, of course. Oh, so good. Was that Canadian as well?
That was Canadian as well.
Oh, wow.
He just last year or so released a new one about a train that's out of control.
Wow. Well, do you know the name?
Yeah,
you look it up.
I'll look that up.
Yeah, you mentioned Douglas Adams before. Like these are some of my favorite authors would be Douglas Adams, Stephen King, and Tolkien.
Oh,
even though at the same time,
see, I could never get into Stephen King stuff.
No,
he has a wonderful writing style, but his actual content it sometimes seems very redundant. Throughout the entire which books was I reading? I was reading this throughout the Stand. What one was I reading? I was reading one last night. Something Atlantis.
Oh, Hearts in Atlantis.
Hearts in Atlantis.
Yeah.
And it all seemed to follow the same formulaic path.
I kind of like that. Like I like his journey novels where someone goes like The Stand or the Talisman, stuff like that. I find with him, it's kind of like reading him. You have to kind of fight to get to the good part because there's a lot of slow build up and then it just rolls down like snowballs. I like it a lot. You look like you found something. And you're going to be silent. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
when I was growing up, one of the reasons I liked Tolkien so much, despite not being able to get through the third Lord of the Rings book, because good God, that was dull. Growing up, my dad had this big ass coffee table book of The Hobbit, which had art from the animated cartoon, and then it was the full thing. It was absolutely amazing. I read that thing hundreds of times.
And the reason I went into a quiet state there, I was searching for the stuff with our good old friend. The guy's name is Cardo Barker. For some reason, my iPad wants to be calling him Carmel Barker. Fun of autocorrect here.
Yeah.
But the piece I was talking with Corey about is called Runaway. Okay. And it's just this amazing 9-minute short film about a train that's running out of control. A passenger train is running out of control.
Oh, wow.
Each compartment is broken up into its class system, and it's just how they're handling it.
That's
it's set to the most upbeat jazz music you will ever hear.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. I like it a lot. Getting close to the end. I just made a list of every time if I pass a bookstore, I have to stop in there, and I almost always end up buying a book, even though I'm reading 4 right now, pretty much. But here's a list of books I have but haven't read yet. That Is All by John Hodgman, which is the 3rd book in his Almanac of Amusing Lies.
He released the 3rd one?
It's the 3rd and final.
Excellent.
It starts with I don't even remember, but it's a very good book series. Really, really funny. Like, that's the list of 500 hobo names. That's where that comes from.
Right.
I'm going to be reading Zombie Apocalypse: Fight Back by Stephen Jones, which there was a prequel to it, which just called Zombie Apocalypse. Where the conceit of it is that it's written in the form of memos and emails and text messages back and forth. It makes it seem really, really personal, and it's really, really cool. Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, which is a dystopian future where this big, massively multiplayer online game, there's this secret treasure in it that if you get it, you gain control of this company and all the money. And it's super popular. It has a huge amount of references to 80s culture, and this takes place in like 2100, so no one really knows about it. And the only reason they do is because of the game, making it a bit more popular. So that'll make me feel nostalgic. Machine of Death, which is a compilation, a bunch of different authors writing about a machine of death that if you put in your name and blood and stuff, it tells you how you'll die, except it's not very straightforward, the machine. The Shining, Robopocalypse by Daniel H. Wilson, My Life as an Experiment by A.J. Jacobs. He's the guy that decided my year of living biblically. We started taking the Bible literally and living a year like that, or he did another one where he decided to read the entire encyclopedia, like A to Z, all those books.
Wow.
Also, The Passage by Justin Cronin, which I remember nothing about. Divine Misfortune and Monster, both by A. Lee Martinez. God's Behaving Badly by Mary Phillips, and The Long Dark Tea Time of the Soul by Douglas Adams. Is there any books you could recommend?
The one that's just come to mind is Max Brooks' World War Z.
Oh, very good, yeah.
Very amazing book. It has to be the best zombie book out there.
I definitely agree with that.
Reading in conjunction anything by Max Brooks, he's done quite a few different books.
Yeah.
You've got the Zombie Survival Guide.
Yeah.
He penned a graphic novel as well, which goes into the history of zombie attacks.
Oh, sweet. Actually, I think I've seen that. I haven't bought it though.
When I bought it, I actually got to meet him. And amazing guy, amazing author.
Very cool.
Anything by Douglas Adams. He's just got this fantastic writing style.
Yeah, he was a writer on Monty Python, I think, way back when as well.
Yeah, and Doctor Who.
And Doctor Who, yeah.
In fact, the third, it's either the second or third. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy book is actually based off the Doctor Who episode that wasn't accepted.
Oh wow, that's really cool. I don't. In terms of actual.
And I think this is the great thing about reading, and I'd encourage people to do it because it's one of the ultimate geek pastimes is reading.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love reading. I always have. It's such an awesome pastime. I don't get to do it as much anymore, but
go to your local bookstore. Just look.
Or your local library. Yeah. Support the public.
I say bookstore because we need to support these authors.
Yeah.
Money. Don't read what the book's about. Just go by the sheer title of the book.
Really? You can't judge a book by its cover.
You can't judge a book by its cover, but sometimes you can be taken on a really fascinating journey.
Yeah.
By just reading a book's cover and having some fun. Do I sound like something off of Reading Rainbow right now?
Kind of. I also have to say, Reading Rainbow's great. I also have to say, check out the classics too, like George Orwell, Ray Bradbury, H.G. Wells, it's good stuff. That about wraps it up for time. Thank you, Colin, and that's been Geektionary.